Welcome, Aries and Aries cross watchers, to your reading for this week. So we have the Ace of Pentacles with the Nine of Pentacles. Aries, I feel like you may feel like a recent victory feels empty, right? It's like you got maybe not everything that you wanted, but just bear with me, okay? It's this energy of feeling like you got everything that you wanted originally, but what you had to lose to get there, it's kind of like this wasn't the trade-off you bargained for type deal, if that makes sense. I feel like there was this thing that may have pulled you into it. And it's almost like there was something about it that made you kind of ignore or, like, bear with me for a second. You know, when sometimes you have this goal or this dream and you have it a little bit idealized, and it's like, and there may have been red flags along the way, but somebody seemed to convince you that it was going to be fine. Or for others of you, they may have convinced you that they had a fix for those. And then you got to that place and you needed the help with those things. And this person was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable. So that's the kind of gist that I'm getting here. And I feel like it doesn't feel necessarily that you're wishing that you're like just holding it together, but from what I'm seeing, it definitely feels like there's this feeling of, from what I'm getting from you, it doesn't feel like it's advice from the cards, but you're feeling like you've somehow made the wrong choice. Oh, goodness gracious. Hold on for a second now. Just going to make sure all the cards are upright for the ones that fell. All right. Can we get card for what this was about? So we have the Eight of Pentacles and the High Priestess. I feel like, here's the thing, it feels like somebody really made you feel like you were going to get this big reward for what you did. And it obviously fell short, right? The cards were talking about that. But it's almost like you may have felt like you were following your inner guide on this one, right? It feels like to a certain extent that you were, how do I say this? You genuinely felt guided towards this whole situation, and the fact that it's kind of seems to have petered out the way that it did. I feel like there's almost this question that you should ask yourself, but you don't want to. Feeling like you may be struggling with trusting yourself right now. It's almost this energy of like, which is very strange for an Aries, feeling bad that you trusted yourself because this didn't work out how you had originally envisioned it when you were making all those sacrifices before. This is not what you planned. And what's interesting is it doesn't feel necessarily like you've fallen terribly far, right? From what I'm seeing, the Nine of Pentacles is an energy of somebody that still has a lot going on, still has a lot of abundance around them. It just feels like there was one thing that you really wanted that you have lost along the way. Feels like there's, from what I'm seeing, okay, it feels like there's a message here that, the Knight of Swords, that there's something bigger that was kind of in store, right? It's the energy of giving up this now giving up something like this now to have something like this later. And it doesn't feel like that's, that you have a hard time working towards goals and all that. It doesn't feel like any of that type of energy. It feels more that it's like you're not quite able to see what's going on. It's like whatever this element is, let's say, for example, it's a, romantic partnership or whatever it is, right? This element seems to have the things that you are doing now that you had to, those sacrifices that you made, somebody has seen them. And I feel like there's this thing kind of working in the background for you. And it's almost like, and if it was presented to you right now, you wouldn't see it for what it is. I feel like you wouldn't see it as the gift that it is because you're kind of disillusioned with the whole process. So it's almost like hold on for a second. I feel like the state that this gift is in right now, it wouldn't really resonate with who you are, if that makes sense. Because like it's let's say, for example, you really wanted to have like full grown tall sunflowers, right? But all that's being offered, all that's available right now is a seed. So it's like, and because you're in this kind of like disconnected energy, I feel like it isn't something that you would even want to pick up right now. I feel for some of you, it could actually be right in front of your face. It just feels like because you're in this kind of disheartened energy, you just don't really have it in you to pick it up. And I feel like because you're just kind of in this hermit energy right now. I'm going to ask you a question instead of telling you something, Aries. Are you isolating yourself to punish yourself? Because I feel like some of you, maybe not all, but some of you are doing that almost as a way to like kind of teach yourself a lesson not to do this again. And like there's nothing wrong with setting boundaries for yourself and having checks and balances within yourself, but I feel like how punitive, at what point does something like that, sorry, I'm trying to find an eloquent way to say this. At what point does something punitive like that become detrimental rather than corrective? And I feel like for a lot of you, it's gone too far. You can feel it in your heart because it's like, and I know we're not supposed to generalize, but any Aries that I have been around, y'all are usually a very lively and animated bunch. And I mean that in like the best of ways, right? There just is a lot of life in you. And I feel like if you're feeling this kind of downtrodden sort of energy, the message here is actually because you may be holding yourself in that, and the solution may be forgiving yourself. Right? It's that energy of you saying like, oh, I effed up. And I feel like because you seem to see it that you effed up in such a big way, that seems to be, I feel like to a certain extent, you also may know that when it was happening, you knew it was going too far. And now you're kind of stuck there. Can we get one for advice for Aries? So we have the Two of Cups at the bottom of the deck with the Wheel of Fortune reversed. So the Wheel of Fortune usually talks about things turning in your favor, right? And reversed, sometimes it means it's going to get worse before it gets better, but I don't actually feel that. I feel like, it's hard to say this because I would hate to hear it if I was in your energy. I feel like the only thing that's really holding you back from enjoying what's in front of you as the Nine of Pentacles energy is you, is how you're feeling about this choice. I feel like if you're able to, the biggest thing from what I'm seeing is that you're not able to enjoy what you have built because you feel like you could have done better. And I'm going to encourage you to, even if it's just an exercise for a moment, to push pause on that, and actually look around at what you've built and remember how far you've come. And I feel like the more that you're able to push yourself to do that, the more you're going to be able to let this other stuff go. So I think I'll leave it there, Aries. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you on the next one. Much love. Bye.